They celebrated my birthday the same night they destroyed my future. That was the first sign, but I was too blind to see it. The dining table was full. Smiles. My older brother raised a toast and said, "To the most innocent person in this family." Everyone laughed. At that time, I thought it was love. Now I know, it was a warning. 3 days later, I found out the company shares my father promised me were gone. Transferred. Signed. Not by mistake, but by family. My father built our logistics company from nothing. 30 years of sweat. 30 years of sacrifice. And he always told me, "You are the only one who understands business like I do." My brother hated that sentence. He was older, but careless.
He liked easy money, quick decisions, flashy cars. I liked numbers, strategy, patience. When my father fell sick, I practically moved into the office.
I handled contracts, saved 2 major deals, negotiated debts. Directly, my brother noticed. He smiled more than usual. That should have scared me. The night of my birthday, he hugged me longer than normal. "You deserve everything," he whispered. He meant it. Just not the way I thought. 2 weeks after that party, my father was hospitalized again, this time serious. The lawyer called an urgent meeting. We sat in the hospital's private room. My father was weak but conscious. He said, "It's time to secure the company." I felt proud, finally. But something strange happened. My brother spoke before my father could continue. "Dad, you shouldn't stress. We already arranged everything." I looked confused. The lawyer avoided my eyes. Papers were placed in front of my father. He signed. I trusted them. I shouldn't have. 3 days later, my father passed away. Grief swallowed everything. For a week, I didn't think about business. Then I received an email from the company bank. Access denied. I thought it was a system error. It wasn't. When I went to the office, my access card didn't work. The receptionist looked uncomfortable. My brother came down from the stairs. Confident. "Why are you here?" he asked. I laughed, thinking it was a joke. He didn't laugh back. "The board has decided you're not part of management anymore." My heart stopped. "What board?" I whispered. He adjusted his cufflinks. "The new board." That's when I learned the truth. The shares had been transferred fully to him. My name was removed. Legally. Signed. Witnessed. Stolen. But done carefully. I felt dizzy. "You promised Dad." He interrupted me. "Dad trusted me." That sentence burned, because I knew it wasn't true. He stepped closer and lowered his voice. "You were always the emotional one. Business isn't for you." Security escorted me out. Employees looked away. Some avoided eye contact. Some looked scared. I lost my father. And in the same week, I lost everything he built. At least, that's what they thought. For 3 days I cried. For 3 nights I couldn't sleep. Then something strange happened. I remembered my father's last look. It wasn't fear. It wasn't confusion. It was calm. That calm bothered me. Because if he knew my brother was taking everything, he wouldn't have looked calm. Unless he knew something I didn't. I went to his old study at home. My brother had already moved into the master bedroom. But he didn't care about the study. To him, it was just old books. To me, it was my father's mind. I searched through drawers, files, locked cabinets. Nothing. Strange. A picture frame slightly tilted. Behind it, a small safe. My hands trembled. I entered the code. My birthday. It opened. Inside was a flash drive. And a handwritten note. "If you are reading this, it means Armin moved faster than expected." My brother's name. My heart pounded. The note continued. I had to make him believe he won. My breathing stopped. There was more. The real control was never in the shares. I stared at that sentence for a long time. If not shares, then what? I plugged the flash drive into my laptop. It contained confidential contracts, hidden partnership agreements, offshore structure documents, and one video file. I clicked the video. My father appeared on screen. He looked tired, but sharp. If Armin betrays you, do not fight emotionally. My throat tightened. Company structure is layered. Majority control lies in holding entities. I froze. He continued. The visible shares are bait. Bait. I replayed that word 3 times. The real voting power activates only if certain clauses are triggered. Clauses? My brother thought he had everything, but maybe he only had what my father wanted him to see. The video ended with one final sentence. Trust, patience. Not anger. That night, I didn't cry. I studied. For hours. Contracts. Clauses. Cross-holdings. And then I found it. A clause that activated emergency restructuring if financial mismanagement was proven. Guess what my brother was known for? Reckless spending. I didn't confront him. I didn't argue. Instead, I waited. 3 months later, company profits started falling. Luxury purchases increased. Risky investments signed. Employees complained. Clients hesitated. I quietly met with 2 major stakeholders. I showed them documents. Not accusing, just asking questions. One of them said, "If this is true, we have a problem." Exactly. Within weeks, a board review was called. My brother looked confident walking into the meeting. Until I walked in behind him. He froze. "You're not allowed here." Snapped. I smiled calmly. Check clause 17C. The lawyer turned pale. Silence filled the room. Because clause 17C allowed minority hidden entities to override management if financial risk was proven. And guess who controlled those hidden entities? Not him. My father had transferred them months earlier. Quietly, legally. My brother thought he stole everything, but my father had already anticipated betrayal. The vote happened. Emergency control triggered. My brother's authority suspended. His face turned red. "You planned this," he shouted. I shook my head. "No, Dad did." That's when I saw it. Fear. Real fear. But the biggest twist wasn't even that, because when forensic audits started, we discovered something worse. The financial losses weren't just reckless spending. Missing. Millions. Transferred. To a private account. Not under my brother's name. Under my mother's. I felt the world spin. My mother had always stayed neutral. Quiet. Soft. She cried at my father's funeral. She hugged my brother when he won. But now, her name was on the transfers. Was she protecting him? Or was she part of it? That night, I confronted her. She didn't deny it. She didn't cry. She just said, "You were never meant to find out." And that sentence changed everything. You were never meant to find out. My mother's voice was calm. Too calm. I stared at her, waiting for guilt, for regret, for denial. There was none. "Why?" I whispered. She looked at me the way she used to when I was a child asking difficult questions. Because this family was never what you thought it was. The room felt smaller. The audit had already frozen company accounts. My brother was under investigation. But now, my own mother was connected. "Did you steal the money?" I asked. She didn't answer directly. Instead, she said, "Your father wasn't innocent either." That sentence hit harder than anything else. I had spent weeks believing my father was the genius who planned everything. The hero. The protector. She stood up slowly and walked to the window. "You think Armin betrayed you," she said softly. That. My chest tightened. "What are you talking about?" She turned around. "The holding entities your father created. They were never only for protection." I felt cold. They were to cut me out. Silence. My father. Cutting her out? He didn't trust anyone, she continued. Not even me. The pieces in my head started moving in ways I didn't like. She walked toward me and placed a file on the table. Old documents, earlier drafts of ownership agreements. My father's signature. But in these drafts, majority control was supposed to be shared between him and my mother. Final version? Her name gone. Replaced by layered entities. Controlled secretly. Transferred eventually to me.
He made you his successor years ago, she said quietly. My throat tightened.
That's not betrayal, I defended. She gave a small, sad smile. It is, when you're his wife. I had never seen her like this. Not soft, not emotional. Strategic. She continued. But he learned from someone. I felt dizzy. You're saying Dad manipulated all of us? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. That night, I couldn't sleep. For the first time, I wasn't sure who the villain was. My brother? My mother? Or the father I idolized? The next morning, forensic auditors called me. There's something strange, one of them said. The missing millions weren't spent. What do you mean? They were moved, but not used. My mind raced. Moved where? To a holding account. Waiting. Went back to the study. Plugged in the flash drive again. Scrolled deeper. There was an encrypted folder I hadn't noticed. Password protected. I tried my birthday. Didn't work. I tried my brother's. Didn't work. Then something hit me. My mother's birthday. It opened. Inside were emails. Negotiations. Sale proposals. Valuation reports. My father was planning to sell 70% of the company quietly, leaving us with almost nothing. The holding entities. They weren't protection from Armin. They were protection from my mother. He didn't trust her. He didn't trust anyone. He only trusted control. I sat there for hours. Everything I believed was cracking. My father's calm at the hospital. It wasn't confidence. It was calculation. He knew conflict would erupt after his death, and he designed it that way. Them. Let them fight. Maintain control from beyond the grave. Suddenly the missing millions made sense. My mother and brother weren't stealing. They were blocking. They moved the funds to prevent liquidity for the sale. They froze the capital before acquisition could complete. They sabotaged the deal. I rushed home. Did you know? I asked my mother. She nodded. He would have left us with nothing but a payout he controlled. My brother joined us. For once, he said quietly, we worked together. I felt betrayed again. You could have told me. My mother's eyes softened. You would have defended him. She was right. I would have. The silence that followed was heavy. For weeks, I thought I was fighting my brother. Then I thought I was exposing my mother. But the real architect of chaos was gone. My father built a system where betrayal was inevitable. Control over trust. Power over peace. But here was the twist none of us expected. The foreign group he was negotiating with, they didn't walk away. They came back. With proof. They had signed preliminary agreements. Legally binding ones. And now with internal instability public, they wanted compensation. Huge compensation. Enough to bankrupt us. The company faced collapse. My brother looked defeated. My mother looked tired. And for the first time, they both looked at me. Not as the emotional one, not as the favorite, but as strategist. You understand the structures, my mother said. You know the clauses, my brother added. In that moment, I realized something powerful. For years, my father manipulated us through control. Now we had a choice. Repeat his pattern, or break it. I stood up slowly. We don't fight each other anymore. They waited. We fight the contract. Over the next month, we worked together. Openly, for the first time ever. We found loopholes in acquisition clauses. Technical breaches in the foreign group's filings. Minor compliance errors. Enough to void the deal. The lawsuit collapsed. The acquisition died. The company survived. And then came the final decision. Board restructuring. This time, no hidden clauses. No secret entities. Transparent shares. Equal voting. My brother apologized. Dramatically. Just quietly. I thought power meant control, he said. My mother looked at my father's portrait on the wall. He believed the same. And me? I learned something terrifying.
Sometimes betrayal doesn't start with hatred. It starts with fear.
Fear of losing control. Fear of being replaced. Fear of not being trusted. My father feared all of it. And in trying to prevent betrayal, he created it. On the anniversary of his death, we held a small private meeting. We removed the hidden structures. We dissolved the layered entities. And I deleted the flash drive. Not out of anger, but because control no longer ruled this family. Now when people ask about the family war rumors, I smile, because the truth is stranger. There was betrayal, but not the way anyone expected. The villain wasn't greed. It was fear. Biggest twist. The person I thought I was avenging was the one who started the war. I thought it was over. I thought exposing them was enough. I thought winning meant freedom. But I was wrong, because 3 weeks after everything came crashing down, I received a call that changed everything. It was from the hospital. My father had collapsed. Heart failure. Critical condition. The same father who signed papers to remove my name from the will. The same father who called me a disappointment in front of the whole family. The same father who believed my cousin's lies over my truth. I didn't know what to feel. Anger? Satisfaction? Guilt? I drove to the hospital anyway, not because I forgave him, but because I needed answers. When I walked into his room, he looked smaller. Nothing like the powerful man who once controlled every decision in my life. He opened his eyes slowly, and when he saw me, he cried. Not dramatic tears, real ones. I was wrong, he whispered. I stood there silently. He struggled to breathe. You need to know the truth about your mother. My heart stopped. My mother died when I was 10, or at least that's what I was told. He reached under his pillow and pulled out an old envelope. Yellow, folded, hidden. I didn't betray you first, he said. I was protecting something. I opened the envelope. Inside was a DNA report. My hands started shaking. The date was from 20 years ago. It said he was not my biological father. The room started spinning. What? I whispered. He closed his eyes. Your mother had an affair. I found out after you were born. I chose to raise you as mine. My chest felt tight. Then why? I asked. Why did you let them treat me like I didn't belong? His voice broke. Because the family found out. Your uncle threatened to expose it. He said if I kept you as heir, he would destroy your mother's name. I was weak. I chose reputation over you. The betrayal hit differently now. It wasn't just greed. It was fear, cowardice, silence. And then he said something that changed everything. You were the only one who wasn't greedy. Tears rolled down my face, but not because I forgave him. Because for the first time, he saw me. He handed me one last paper, a revised will, everything transferred back to my name, including something I didn't expect, a private investigation file, on my cousin, the one who manipulated everyone, the one who played innocent. The file revealed bank transfers, hidden accounts, fraud. He hadn't just lied about me. He had been stealing from the company for years. My father knew, and he had started building a case before collapsing. Finish it. 2 days later, he died, and the funeral was quiet. But the storm came after. I didn't scream. I didn't argue. I didn't seek revenge emotionally. I destroyed them legally. The investigation exposed millions missing. My cousin was arrested. My uncle lost his position. The family name they tried so hard to protect. It was dragged through headlines anyway. Irony. But here's the darkest part. A week after everything ended, I went through my mother's old things. Hidden inside her jewelry box was another letter, not addressed to my father, addressed to me. And in it she wrote, "If you're reading this, it means the truth finally came out. Your father is not your biological father, but he loved you more than anyone ever could. He gave up his pride to give you his name." I froze. Because suddenly, he wasn't the villain. He was a broken man who made terrible choices out of fear. And I realized something terrifying. Revenge didn't bring peace. Truth did. And the truth was messy, ugly, human. I kept the company. I rebuilt it. But I removed the family name from the building. Not out of hate, but to end the curse. And here's the final twist. 6 months later, a man contacted me. A DNA match. My biological father. Alive. Successful. And completely unaware I existed. I stared at the message for hours. Should I tell him? Should I enter another storm? Or leave the past buried? I closed my laptop, because for the first time in my life, I wasn't chasing revenge. I was choosing peace. But sometimes, peace is the scariest choice of all. And that was the real ending.